All right, good morning, students. Morning, students. How are you doing today? Good today. So we'll begin on what starts, which is writing. It's where we last class is writing. We said that there are three stages to an essay: the pre-writing stage, the writing stage, also known as drafting, and the post-writing stage. So we're looking at the pre-writing stage, and we said that some of the activities that you need to engage in as far as pre-writing stage is concerned include deciding on the area you want to write on, deciding on the end to write, deciding, considering your purpose, why do you want to write, considering your audience. I think we stopped at considering your audience. I said that before you even start writing, you need to think about who you are writing for, because that will determine what and how you will write. In fact, it will determine how you will write. For instance, if you are writing for children, it will be different compared to if you are writing for adults. If you are writing for highly educated audience, it will be different from if you're writing for averagely educated people. Okay? So your audience is very important. Your purpose is very, very important. Purpose-wise, are you writing for entertainment? Do you want to pass across information? Do you want to change attitude? Whatever the purpose is, you know, so that you know how to write to achieve that purpose. The same thing with considering your audience. Your audience determines what and how you write. Okay, especially how you write a particular topic. So after that, you need to do research. If you're called upon to present a speech, or you want to write any type of essay, there's need for you to study. You need for you to do research. You have to read about what others have written in that area. You have to get literature, get relevant literature. And by relevant literature, I mean the things that have been written down in that area. The recent things that have been written about that area that to know what has gone before, that you know where to come in. So you can go to the library, you can consult newspapers, you can give interviews. to experts for them to tell you what they feel or what they know about that area. Okay, so you need to do research. Have that in mind. Then after you've done your research, the last thing you need to do as far as playwriting is concerned is outlining. Better outlining. You need to write down your outline. Okay, draw an outline. The outline is okay. It is the step by step. It gives you the step by step writing of the essay. After writing this, I'll write about this. After writing this, I'll write about this. From the introduction to the conclusion. That's what we mean by outlining. So you have to draw your outline. For instance, you can start with you can write the topic. After the topic, you write introduction. What are you going to say in the introduction? You now write it in subtitles. We are not saying that we are going to have those subtitles in the essay, but there are things that will guide you. Okay? Then you get to the body. Under the body, you have to segment the topic into subtitles. And then conclusion. So that's what we mean by outlining. So, and once you have decided on an outline, you write based on that. So you see there's a systematic way of writing an essay. You don't just wake up, then you write. All those essays that you read and you like them, people sat down and planned how to write them. So having an outline will give your essay order and neatness. It will not look like as if a mad person is writing, because it will be step by step. After this one, orderly from the beginning to the end. Okay, so let's say that you are looking at you're looking at the topic the problems of road accidents in Uyo metropolis, or road accidents in Uyo metropolis, problems or causes and solutions. Road accidents in Uyo metropolis, causes and solution. It could be a topic. That means for you to get to that topic, you have decided that you want to write in the area of transportation. You have chosen your topic to be road accidents. You have narrowed it down to Uyo metropolis, based on what we said in our last class, how to approach a topic. And now you have done your research, you've done your interviews, you've gone to the library, you've read recent publications, read magazines, newspapers to have ideas. You've gathered your materials that will help you to write an insightful, informative, educating, or educative essay. All right? You now sit down to draw an outline, and the topic is road accident in Uyo metropolis, causes and solution. And so you have first introduction, right? The first introduction, we can do this outline together. First introduction. So you can have subheadings to guide you on what you want to say on road accidents in New York Metropolis in the introduction. For instance, you can say facts, published facts or statistics on road accidents in New York Metropolis. And you want to start with stating facts, all right? Statistics obtained from the right sources, okay? And then you can also decide, maybe you want to start with a quote or include a quote from an authority on the subject. You can also decide, maybe you want to ask questions, relevant questions, which will be answered. Or any other thing that you need to say in the introduction. We'll definitely talk about that. We'll definitely talk about how to write an introduction. But in this particular topic, you can use any of those approaches. And what you need to note about the introduction is that at the end of the day, you have to state exactly what you want to do in the essay. On that day, body of the essay, you can start with causes of road accidents in New York Metropolis. Causes of road accidents in New York Metropolis. All right. So you want to look at that. Then under you can have subheadings like bad roads could be one of the causes. Reckless driving could be another. All those are subheadings under causes. Overspeeding to write. Like the courses, you can just take 3 cogent courses and discuss. Then you can now go on to solutions. And depending on the courses that you used, you structure your solutions after those courses. For instance, you could say that road safety should be empowered more to check vehicles and drivers to ensure that the drivers are qualified and that the vehicles are in good condition. Government should repair the potholes in the New York Metropolis, or they should repair the roads. All right? And you list them in that order. So if you had 3 causes of road accident, you also have 3 causes, 3 solutions. And then you now have conclusion. And that, based on your purpose. Okay, so let us go back to, we are in the drafting stage now, so let us go back to introduction. Let's go back to introduction. The introduction, but it should be well developed. A well-developed paragraph contains all the information required for that paragraph. The introduction is the paragraph where the writer gives an exposition on the topic that he or she is writing about. It is one paragraph, but it contains everything that the reader needs to know about that essay. It is the first paragraph that the reader reads, encounters in the essay. It is the first paragraph that the reader encounters in the essay, so it must be well written to capture the attention of the reader. If you mismanage the introductory paragraph, you lose your audience. Remember, even from the topic should be interest arresting enough. But apart from that, your introductory paragraph should gain the interest and attention of the reader. Because if you can't do that, if the reader is put off by your introductory paragraph, then even if you write a very good essay in the body, the person will not read. You already put the person off in the introductory paragraph. So the introductory paragraph be enough to sustain the interest of the reader. What you should do in the introductory paragraph, what they should do. What should you write? The introductory paragraph is about in a creative way. So there are many approaches to writing an approach. All right? So you must not always wonder how to begin your introductory paragraph. You can use the question approach. You can use the statement approach. You can use the statement approach. Statement approach. Here you quote facts. You state facts, statistics, or statements that are true to the situation. You can use the statement approach. Then you have the definition approach. The definition approach. The definition approach. Depending on the type of essay you're writing, you can choose to define concepts, first of all. All right? You start by defining concepts, definition. define concepts. You can use the quotation approach. You can use the quotation approach. You can use the quotation approach. In this approach, you quote authority. You quote authority on the subject. You quote an authority on the subject, and then you take off the introduction from that quote. The introduction can take off from that quote. It was this person who in 2015 wrote that, you quote. Then from there you now continue your introduction based on that quote, and then build it into what you want to write about. That's another way of getting attention of the reader. Okay? Then we have the anecdotal approach. The anecdotal approach. The anecdotal approach. The anecdotal approach. Anecdotal is spelled ANECDOTAL. ANECDOTAL. Anecdotal approach. Anecdotal is taken from the word anecdote, ANECDOTE, which is a brief story that illustrates a point. A brief story that illustrates the point. A kind of digression. All right, to prove a point in a discussion. The anecdotal approach. The anecdote is a brief story that illustrates a point. Like pastors use anecdotes all the time. All right, when they are preaching, they will pause and tell a story, and say, tell you from that story you could learn this, you could see what I'm trying to say. Okay. So people like stories. So you can begin your essay with a story that relates to your subject matter. I'm not saying you should bring any story that comes into your head. You can imagine a story that fits into your topic of discussion. All right? For instance, in this particular topic that we're talking about, accidents, you could write a story about a father who was going home to celebrate Christmas with the family. He has a young daughter, 4 years old, and a wife waiting for him at home. They had said farewell to him in the morning, and they're expecting him back in the house in the evening, only for the man to go and get drunk, all right? And then he's trying to drive home, and then drove into a ditch, and is hospitalized and cannot celebrate that Christmas again. All right? Depending on the point that you want to make, can create a story. And then from there you now take that essay from that story. All right? Because by that time you already gained your audience attention. Now you pick the introduction from there and build the topic into it, and then you move on. That's how it is done. All right, so we now move to the body. Now move to the body of the essay. So you are done with your introduction, which must be a single paragraph, well developed. Right? Now you move to your body of the essay. The body of the essay is where the actual writing begins, where you talk about the main issue of writing. The main gist of the essay is written in the body. And please note that the body of the essay is segmented into paragraphs. The body of the essay is segmented into paragraphs. So the body of the essay is not one paragraph. It is a number of paragraphs that come together to form the body of the essay. So when you get to the body of the essay, remember your outline. Remember your outline that you made. Okay? So before we proceed, we need to talk about the paragraph. We need to talk about the paragraph. Because you need to know what the paragraph is before you can write a good essay, since essays are written in paragraphs. You need to know what the paragraph is before you start writing your essay, since essays are written in paragraphs. So what is a paragraph? What is a paragraph? A paragraph can be defined as a unit or division of a piece of writing. A unit or division of a piece of writing A paragraph is a unit or division of a piece of writing made up of a group of sentences. Made up of a group of sentences dealing with a particular idea. Dealing with a particular idea. Made up of a group of sentences dealing with a particular idea. A paragraph is a unit or division of a piece of writing made up of a group of sentences, all dealing with a particular idea. Please take note of that. All the sentences that you write in a paragraph must revolve around a particular idea in relation to the piece of writing. Okay? So it is in paragraph that we order our thoughts in an essay, because each paragraph deals with a particular idea till the end of the essay. So paragraphing then becomes the art of segmenting a work of art segmenting an essay into paragraphs, units of thoughts. Paragraphs are units of thoughts, units of ideas. You cannot write everything that you want to write in that essay in one paragraph, or as you like. It has to be one idea after another. One idea after another, based on your outline. All right? So a paragraph usually deals with a particular idea in relation to the piece of writing. Each paragraph must have what is called a topic sentence. Each paragraph must have what we call a topic sentence. Each paragraph must have what we call what? Topic sentence. Everybody say topic sentence. Topic sentence. All right? It is called topic sentence not because it's a topic. All right? When you pick an essay, you will not see each paragraph having a topic. All right? That is not the idea behind it being called a topic sentence. It is called a topic sentence because it is the sentence with the main idea of that particular paragraph. All right? The topic sentence is a sentence that contains the main idea of a particular paragraph. Please take note of that. The topic sentence is the sentence that contains the main idea of a particular paragraph. All the other sentences explain or talk about or expand the topic sentence. All the other sentences in the paragraph explain, discuss, or expand the idea of the topic sentence. So in there's what we call paragraph development and paragraph development techniques. So do not always wonder how you will be able to expand your paragraph. You have paragraph development techniques, but you must note that each paragraph contains a topic sentence, the sentence with the main idea of that paragraph. And then all the other sentences do what? Help to explain it or expand it. And after that explanation, the paragraph comes to an end and you start another paragraph. All right? So before we talk about these paragraph development techniques, let us also talk about types of paragraphs. We have two major types of paragraphs structurally. We have two types of paragraph structurally speaking. We have two types of paragraph. We have the block paragraph and we have the indented paragraph. We have the block paragraph and we have the indented paragraph. We have the block paragraph, block, B-L-O-C-K, block paragraph. Then we have indented paragraph, I-N-D-E-N-T-E-D, indented paragraph. So the block paragraph does not leave a space at the margin or from the margin, does not give a space at the margin. Now, excuse me, what you need to notice that before you start writing your essay, please pay attention. Before you start writing your essay, check whether the piece of paper you're using has a margin. Check whether the piece of paper you're using has a margin. If it has a margin, fine. You can continue writing. But sometimes your piece of paper might not have a margin. So you must draw the margin. You must draw the margin before you start writing. Even from your exercise books now that you're using in class, you can see that red line that begins from the top of the page to the end. That is your margin, right? You are not allowed to write anything on a piece of paper without a margin. You must draw your margin if the margin is not there. Please always remember this. Always remember this. Writing an essay without drawing a margin simply tells the examiner that you do not know your left from right. Okay? So, margin is very important. And you must not write in the margin. You write outside the margin. Because the margin is where the examiner will write. Will write his comments. So you write outside the margin. You don't write in the margin. Please take note of that. And so it is from the margin that we can now use as a point for the definition of our two types of paragraphs. So I said that the block paragraph does not give a space from the margin. Alright? Does not leave any space from the margin. Alright? But rather, line spaces are used to separate one paragraph from another. Line spacing is used to separate one paragraph from another. That is block paragraph. This type of paragraph is used in agreements, legal writing, in government offices, and so on and so forth. And then you have the indented paragraph. Indented paragraph leaves a space from the margin, leaves some space from the margin, and there is no line spacing to separate one paragraph from another. So let me give you an instance on the board. So this is your margin, and this is the end of the page. This is your block paragraph. There's no space from the margin. So that's your paragraph 1. Paragraph 2, you leave a space. You leave a line space, and then you write the second paragraph. This is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. This is block paragraph. As you can see, there is no space left from the margin. This is block. The only space that I have is this line space. Line space. Line spacing that separates paragraph 1 from paragraph 2. Right? And then you have this for indented paragraph. You can start here. Now, supposing I'm done with my paragraph 1 and I want to start paragraph 2. All right, so you can see that you must ensure that the paragraphs begin at the same place. So this is the space from the margin. This is the space from the margin. And this is paragraph 1, this is paragraph 2. This is indented paragraph. That's indented paragraph. You are allowed to use indented paragraph as students. Students must use indented paragraph in their writing, not block paragraph. Please take note of that. Students are to use indented paragraphs in their essay. Please, the paragraph must begin at the same spot, not a situation whereby you begin your first paragraph here, and then the next one is here, and then the next one is here. You will not. You see, there will be no neatness. It will not be neat. So take note of that. For the paragraph to be orderly, then it has to begin from the same spot. That's the way you see the order and beauty of the paragraph. So now let's just talk about paragraph development techniques. We have said that a paragraph should have a topic sentence, and that the other sentences in the paragraph are meant to develop the topic sentence. So that at the end of the day, each paragraph has a unit of thought. For instance, in the outline that we use, when you get to causes of road accidents, and you mention, say, bad roads, okay? So you could start that paragraph with a topic sentence. One of the causes of road accidents in New Metropolis is the one of the causes of road accidents in New Metropolis is the bad state of the roads. That is your topic sentence. But what you need to know is that the topic sentence might not always begin the paragraph. All right? The topic sentence does not need to be at the beginning. It can be in the middle. It can come at the end as well. But let's say that it is at the beginning. So after saying that, that's your topic sentence. all that you say in that paragraph should revolve around that topic sentence. The fact that bad roads or the bad state of the road causes road accidents in New York metropolis. You could say it is because of potholes, or you could say the roads have not been repaired for many years, have not been well maintained, or you might even say there are no good roads at all, depending on what is true, and if that is actually the case. All right? After all, we have some very good roads in Uyo metropolis, right? It is just an essay situation. Because in essay, what we need is your imagination, right? What is needed is your imagination. Except you are writing for a real life situation. Maybe you are reporting for a newspaper. Then you write facts. But as far as essay writing is concerned, within the university system, all we need is your imagination. So if you are going to say that it is potholes, then you state. And then all that you need to say, everything you need to say in that paragraph should revolve around what causes that cause that you mentioned, the bad road. And when you are done with that, you move to another one. Not in one paragraph, you are saying so many different things that we don't understand. Your essay will not have coherence and cohesion. Will not. So you can use the narrative approach. You can use the narrative technique to develop your topic sentence. Narration. You can use narration to develop your topic sentence. Narration. You can use narration to develop your topic sentence. Narration means to tell a story. Storytelling. All right? You must use only the technique that is suitable for your discussion. You must use only the techniques that are suitable for your discussion. So you can use narration. After mentioning the topic sentence, you can tell a story to expand it, to develop it. So one of the paragraph development techniques is what? Narration. One of the paragraph development techniques is narration, telling a story to expand the topic sentence. Another is explanation. You can explain. After stating the topic sentence, you can explain. You can explain. After stating the topic sentence, you can do explanation. Depending on what you are writing, you can do comparison. You can do comparison as a technique for developing the paragraph. You can use illustration. You can use exemplification. You can use exemplification. Give examples. So those are the paragraph development techniques. So now you know the structure of the paragraph, so you can go ahead and write your essay. Another thing that you must be mindful of while writing your body is that you must use good English. You must use good English. That is, you must write in English, right? You must write in English. As in the language that everyone will understand. Always remember that grammatical errors or typographical errors constitute noise in a piece of writing. Grammatical errors or typographical errors constitute what? Noise in a piece of writing. So you want to eliminate as much as is possible bad grammar from your piece of writing. Right? so that it will not distract people from getting the message in the essay. Because these errors are a major source of distraction. Some people might even leave the message and start attacking the writer. What is even writing? Who is it? Who be this? Who is this person? All right? So you want to eliminate this noise as much as you can by using good English. And one way of, because English language is not our language, we speak English language as a second language, meaning that we are lifelong learners of the language. There shouldn't be a point where you say that you understand English so well that you cannot learn anything new in it again. That would be a mistake. All right? That would be a mistake because we've been learning English right from primary school and we are still learning. So you have to condition your mind that you must be a lifelong learner of English, because English itself is not a static language, right? English itself is not a static language. It keeps changing. Some rules keep changing. Some new words keep coming to the language and you have to learn them. So, no matter your discipline, no matter your field, you should keep developing yourself in the English language. Taking courses, you need to have your dictionary, model yourself after excellent speakers of the language, like BBC's broadcasters, some very good Nigerian broadcasters. You read your magazines because that's where you have good English written all the time. Your newspapers, the good ones. These are the things that help you keep pace with the language. For instance, current newspapers will use current usages, current idioms and expressions in the language, current words. So you need to keep reading. The best way for you to develop yourself in the English language is to keep reading. Read your newspapers, read your magazines, read your novels. It cannot be because you're a science student you don't read novels. No. You have to go and see movies that are done in English. And then you speak the language yourself, because speaking the language is the best way to improve yourself in it. Because the language might just be there in your head, perfect. But when you want to say it, it might not come out perfect. So how do you do that? By constant practice. All right? So you find people around you who want to use English with you. All right? Not people, when you speak English, they will ask you whether you are from America. So boy, drop that thing. Make we yarn them. All right? Please, I did not understand that, sir. But when you are writing, most times when you are writing, you will not be there to explain yourself to the reader. You will not be there. And the reader will not see you to ask, what did you mean by this expression? Or by this? So you want to write in such a way that you will not be misunderstood. So that is why you need to write with clarity. Use simple words and expressions. Use simple words and expressions. Use simple words and expressions. Using high-sounding words, bombastic words, does not make you educated. Does not make you sound educated at all. Sometimes using difficult words alienates your audience. That's why I said you must consider your audience from the beginning. Who is your audience? Who is going to read your work? So the best rule is, because you don't know who is going to read your work, you may not know somebody on your work, you need to try as much as you can to write using simple words. That's the mark of an educated person. All right? You are not trying to impress anybody in your essay by using words that, even at the end of the day, it might not mean anything to you, but you just use it. All right? So you write to communicate. You write to communicate because communication happens when what you have written is understood by the reader in the way you wanted it to be understood. And when that does not happen, then communication has failed. And you don't want communication to fail. You want the reader to read and understand you exactly the way you intended the reader to understand you. And so you leave any word that will lead to misunderstanding. You use your expressions clearly. All right? Then use transition markers. Use transition markers. Use transition markers. Use transition markers. Transition markers help us to move from one paragraph to another, from one idea to another. We have transition markers for listing or enumeration. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's enumeration. You can say first, second, third, fourth. All right? Or firstly, secondly, thirdly. So you take note of that. But that's for enumeration. You have transition markers for emphasis. You have transition markers for emphasis. It should be noted that note that the main point is that, okay, so that is a verbal cue. That's a verbal cue. Somebody says you should note that. You have transition markers for concession. For concession. Concession. C-O-N-C-E-S-S-I-O-N. Concession. For instance, however, nevertheless, you should know how to use however. You don't use it just as you like. It is used to make concession. So if you say, it was a very sunny day, however, we could not go out because we did not have permission to do so. So as I said, you have transition markers for emphasizing a message or stating the main point of a message. Once if you say you want to state the main point of a message, you can say mainly my work deals with or focuses on to emphasize a point, you can say in fact, indeed, certainly, principally, most importantly. To give example, you can say for example, comma, for instance, but don't say for instance example. To illustrate. Okay? To conclude. In conclusion, not in conclusion and you're just beginning the essay. So that's what I'm saying. I've seen students use these markers wrongly. The markers don't have anything to do with what they are doing. So you use only the relevant markers and make sure you know the meaning. When you say however, know that you are talking about however. You want to concede a point. When you say although, you are conceding a point. All right, so use the right transition markers. All these things will help your essay to have, all the things we have listed will help your essays to have coherence and cohesion. That means the ideas will stick together and will be orderly. Then you go to the conclusion. The conclusion is also one paragraph, a single paragraph. The conclusion is also a single paragraph, but is well developed. The conclusion is also a single paragraph, but well developed. The conclusion is also a single paragraph, but well developed. It is the paragraph that brings the essay to an end. It is the paragraph in which you make your final impression and lasting impression. So the concluding paragraph is as important as the introductory paragraph. The concluding paragraph is as important as the introductory paragraph because it is in the concluding paragraph that you make your final impression. It is where you bring the essay to an end and create the right effect and impression in the mind of the reader. It is where you achieve the goal of the essay. So the concluding paragraph usually revolves around emphasizing on the major points of the essay, summing up everything that you've said in the essay, and emphasizing on the major issues of the essay. You could write it using suggestions. For instance, in the topic at hand, you can emphasize the solutions that you have made in the body of the essay. Just sum up the important ones. You can review the main points for emphasis. You can make recommendations in the conclusion. You can tell a story as a way of bringing the essay to an end. There are so many ways. You can even ask questions too. You can end the essay with a question so that the reader will keep thinking after reading the essay. You must be imaginative and creative. So you can have suggestions, solutions, recommendations, review of main points for emphasis. You can tell a story, anecdote. You can use persuasion, all right, in your conclusion. These are strategies for writing conclusion. So you must not be wanting when you get to your conclusion. You must ask yourself, what should I write? At least review the main points. Sum up what you've done in the essay and bring the essay to an end. Post-writing. This is after you have written the essay. Remember, the writing stage is called the drafting stage. And as I said in the last class, you could have as many drafts as is possible before you have a perfect draft. So you can have first draft, second draft, third draft. As I said, very few people can have a perfect draft in the first draft. In fact, it's not usually possible to have a perfect draft in the first draft. So you need to keep on revising. All right? You need to keep on revising your draft to have that perfect essay that you want. Meaning that you must proofread. So this is what you do in the post-writing stage. The post-writing stage include revision, proofreading the essay in order to have a perfect copy, or that perfect copy. So in the post-writing, you read over your draft. In the post-writing, they may ask you which of this is a post-writing activity in an essay writing. All right? Which of this is a post-writing activity in an essay writing? It consists mostly in revising the draft to make it perfect, proofreading, editing, reading the draft over and over again to spot mistakes. All right? In the examination hall, if you're asked to write an essay in an examination hall, you must give yourself some time after writing the essay to read over it. Even if you're not asked to write an essay, after your exams, give yourself some moments to look over what you have written. Let it be a habit. And please don't overlook that time, that process. Because you are trying to make your answer perfect. Sometimes you can just make one mistake that changes all your answers. But if you look at it again, you might spot that mistake and correct it before you submit the paper. This is what should guide you all through your life. you can always revisit what you've written to check whether there were errors. So this is what post-writing is all about: editing, proofreading your draft to make it better. All right? We have 4 types of essay writing. We have 4 types of essay writing. We have the narrative essay, descriptive essay, argumentative essay, and expository essay. Four types of essay writing. Types of essay writing. We have 4 types of essay writing: narrative essay, descriptive essay, argumentative essay, and expository essay. You've heard this all your life, right? Now, the narrative essay tells a story. The narrative essay tells a story. The narrative essay tells a story. In telling this story, you must obey the instruction in the question. Sometimes they'll ask you, write a story that ends with the expression, the patient dog eats the fattest bone. All right? Write an essay that ends with the expression, the fattest dog eats the patient dog eats the fattest bone. Now, in that kind of question, the body of the essay must illustrate the message. All right? You must know what the message is in the patient dog eats the fattest bone. You must tell a story that illustrates patience, the virtue of patience, not rushing in life, right? And then, when you get to the end of the essay, your final sentence must be what? The patient dog eats the fattest bone. Whatever you say at the end of that essay, because the instruction says, write a story that ends with the expression, the patient dog eats the fattest bone. That means for you to have marks, first of all, your story must illustrate the theme of patience. Not only that, your final sentence must be what? The patient dog eats the fattest bone. Do you understand that? So that is how you are supposed to approach. So you can have a topic. You can have a topic. Your story should have a topic. It could be the impatient old man or the impatient young man. All right? Or whatever topic that you want to use. And then you now write your story. Stories must be creative and imaginative. Sometimes they say the story should be real or imagined. Okay? If you want to write a real story, you still need to use your imagination. All right? So, you select your characters. Select your characters. The people that are involved in the story are the characters. But you must have a main character that you use to talk about that theme of impatience or patience. All right? Select your setting. Setting is where the story will be situated, the time and the place. And you start writing. You think about your story, the plot line. Think about the plot line, the outline of the story, how it will begin and how it will end. You use creative and imaginative language. In writing a narrative essay, even one word can make a paragraph because you want to create effect. That is allowed. You can use dialogue to spice up the narrative. People
characters talking to each other. Okay? And so on and so forth. And then you can sign your name at the end of the essay for authentication. Always, what gives you marks? Always remember that what gives you marks is that the story must illustrate the theme in the question. Then you have descriptive essay. Descriptive essay. As the name suggests, descriptive essay describes a particular thing or a particular phenomenon. So descriptive essay is based on the human ability to observe and report the observation in detail. Descriptive essay is based on the human ability to observe and report the observation in detail. Almost anything could be described, from the direct particular place to describing a particular scenery. For instance, I can ask you to describe the main campus of Akwa Ibom State University in your essay. So you need to take in the details, the major features, the minor features, in order to build the essay in such a way that when somebody reads it, somebody will have a sense of knowing what you've talked about. But what you describe should not only be physical. You can also describe feelings and sensations, right? You can describe organic phenomena, feelings, emotion can equally be described. You can describe the sun, the morning, night. You can describe fear. So your ability to describe depends on your ability to observe and take in details and then report based on that observation. So, in descriptive essay, you must note the important features of what you want to describe. If it's a physical place, you must note the important features of the place, like the field, the major buildings, the inscriptions on them, things that will help someone remember that place. And you must also note the minor details. This is how you'll be able to write a descriptive essay. Then, argumentative essays are debates. Argumentative essays are debates because they aim to use logic to persuade. Argumentative essays are debates, right? Because they aim to use logic, reasoning to persuade. Argumentative essays are debates, right? Because they use reasoning or logic to persuade someone on a particular point or a particular issue. In life, not everybody agrees on everything. We have differing opinions on issues. So sometimes there's need for debate, where you will bring your points, and I'll bring my points, and then we'll convince the audience on what we think or what we believe in. So Sometimes, even in your work, when you graduate and you are working, you might have to persuade your boss on a particular project. Then other staff also has another project, and you guys will be called upon to defend and give point as to why your own should be preferred over the other. So debate requires that you must have logical reasoning abilities. Because here, emotions do not really count. It is only the points, the logical points that you give that will count. Attacking the other person will not help. Okay? Saying that the other person has a long nose. So because of that, this project should not be taken. It's nonsense. All right? You must bring points around the issue at hand. So even in the world today, so many issues are subject to debate. Even in the world that we live today, so many issues are subject to debate. And you can only convince people when you have the facts. When you have what? The facts. And nothing more. It is the person who presents the facts in a particular argumentative event that will win the debate. So, as students in the university, you must sharpen your ability to debate. You must sharpen your ability to debate. You must sharpen your logical reasoning abilities. So you can begin this by learning about, please pay attention. Pay attention. You can begin this by learning about inductive and deductive reasoning. You can begin this by learning about inductive and deductive reasoning. Inductive and deductive reasoning. And recognizing fallacies. You can do this by learning about inductive and deductive reasoning and identifying fallacies. So inductive reasoning proceeds from specific instances to generalization. Inductive reasoning proceeds from specific instances to generalization, whereas deductive reasoning proceeds from generalization to specific instances. Inductive reasoning proceeds from specific instances to generalization, and deductive reasoning proceeds from generalization to specific instances. For instance, in inductive reasoning, you can make a statement like this. Ibrahim is Hausa and he is peaceful. Musa is Hausa and he is peaceful. Abacha is a Hausa man and is very peaceful. Therefore, all Hausa people are peaceful. Right? That is inductive reasoning. You take one case, you take another case, and you take another case, as many as you want, and then you form a general conclusion based on those specific cases. All right? That is inductive reasoning. Or you can say, all Hausa people are peaceful. Ibrahim is a Hausa man, therefore Ibrahim is peaceful. That is deductive reasoning. That is deductive reasoning. In each case, you form an impression after either studying specific cases or making a generalization before proceeding to examine a particular case. Now, you could have problems. You could have problems of fallacy arising from this inductive and deductive reasoning. The problem of fallacy might arise because in the first case, you have only studied you have only seen three persons, and then you conclude, all right, that all Hausa persons are peaceful. You've not met all of them, all right? You've not met all of them. So the fallacy in that kind of generalization is called hasty generalization. The fallacy is hasty generalization because after three cases, you now say all Hausa persons are peaceful. But you've not met all. You've only met 3 or 4 or 5. So, saying all Hausa persons are peaceful after meeting 4 or 5 is hasty generalization. Okay? As a fallacy, rushing to conclusion when you have not examined all the cases or all the facts is hasty generalization. And so, as a student of logic, in your essay writing, you must avoid hasty generalization as much as it is possible. And how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? By avoiding absolute terms. By avoiding absolute terms and using relative terms when you are not sure that you examined all the specific cases. Please take note of this. By avoiding absolute terms like all, every. All right? We use all for the supernatural or for things that we are sure of. Instead, go with relative terms. Please take note of this. It will help. You stand before someone, you say, all these people are like this. Or you are always doing that. Well, the person has done it just 3 times. You're always doing that. You're always accusing me. You are not logical at that moment. Whereas what you should use is relative term. Like most of the time. Most Hausa people are peaceful. Or even some. Not all. Not every. Every day you do this. Every day you do this. That's absolute term. So, in matters of logic, use relative terms over absolute terms. And I've given you instances of relative and absolute terms. Relative terms, some, most. All right? Absolute terms, every day, all. Relative terms, many. That will show that you are an educated person. All right? Another fallacy you must avoid. Fallacies are errors in argument, errors in logic, in reasoning. Apart from hasty generalization, another one that you should avoid is non sequitur. Non sequitur. Non sequitur. Non sequitur. Non sequitur. It means does not follow from the fact. Does not follow from the fact. It means that it does not follow from the fact. Does not follow from the fact. Non sequitur. Example. Example. All living things can move. A car can move. Therefore, a car is a living thing. That argument is an example of non sequitur because it does not follow from the fact. All right? All living things can move. A car can move. Therefore, a car is a living thing. It's an example of non sequitur. It does not follow from the fact. Okay? Good. So you avoid that kind of argument, that kind of fallacy. It's called non sequitur. Then we have stereotypes. Stereotyping. Stereotype. Stereotyping or stereotypes. Stereotypes are biases. Stereotypes are biases or prejudices. Stereotypes are biases or prejudices based on race, gender, age, religion, and tribe. Judging people based on their age, gender, race, tribe, and so on and so forth. For instance, stereotyping to say that all Igbo men like money. All Igbo men like money. Emeka is an Igbo man, so Emeka likes money. All right? It's stereotyping. All right? It's stereotyping. It's prejudice based on tribe. Because there's no people in the world that will not like money. There's nobody in this world who does not like money. All right? Whether they are Hausa, Yoruba. Okay, you mean that the Igbo people is too much. All right? But that's stereotyping. Have you ever told somebody, this is my local government? The people say, wow. So you mean you are from that local government? Eh? So a university graduate should not think like that. Tell somebody I am from Etinan. And they say, eh? All right? Because we have these stereotypes about people from those particular place. All right? Or you tell somebody I am from Oran. Right? I am from Oran. And then they now start fearing you. Right? They become afraid of you immediately. That's stereotyping. Okay? You see a lady in a very beautiful car and you say, this car that your husband bought for you. Right? That's gender bias because you think that a woman cannot buy a car for ourselves. It has to be the husband. All right? And a young person comes out to do something. A young person comes out to do something and you say, what can this little rat do? You are too young. You cannot do it. You'll not be able to do it because you are young. All right? That's stereotyping based on age. So as graduates, we must not reason like that. Okay? You must not reason like that. Then we have ad hominem. Ad hominem. Ad hominem. This fallacy attacks the person, leaves the issue to attack the person. Attack on the person. All right? For instance, we are debating climate change. You understand? We are debating climate change. And you tell the judges, that that your opponent has a long nose, and so because of that, his points should not be accepted. Understand? He has a long nose. Or your opponent is blind, so cannot see, so the point will not be accepted. So people do this even in politics, and sometimes the masses do not notice. Even in politics, people attack persons, not the issue. And the masses will clap. They don't know that that's not the issue on ground. The person's pigmentation has nothing to do with the issue on ground. The person's height. Okay? So you don't say, why should we vote short put into office? Short put. That's not the issue. Right? The issue is roads, right? Healthcare, education, all right? Not the skin pigmentation of the person. But in politics, people do this all the time. They just attack the person, all right? That one that has a big mouth, all right? What will he be able to do? So as graduates, we must develop our sense of reasoning to rise above all these things. So ad hominem is attack on the person and not the issue. It also refers to discrediting the source. All right? Discrediting the source. That's making the argument to look bad so that the argument will not be accepted, even though his argument is cogent. Lawyers do this all the time. All right? Somebody comes out to tell the truth and they say the person has questionable character. Or who is he? All right? His clothes is not even nice, so why should we listen to him? So that's discrediting the source. Attack on the person, not the issue. It's a fallacy, it's a bad argument. So always watch out for this as a logical person. Okay? Then we have begging the question. Begging the question. Begging the question. Begging the question. So in begging the question, you draw a conclusion without providing evidence or reason for the conclusion. You draw a conclusion without providing evidence or the reason for the conclusion. Then bandwagon. Bandwagon is another fallacy. Bandwagon is another fallacy that you need to avoid in argumentative essays. So bandwagon is based on the argument that everybody is doing something, therefore the thing is right for you to do. All right? Everyone is doing this particular thing, so it is good for us. That's bandwagon. The fact that everyone is doing something or saying something may not necessarily make it right. So in your debate, you must note the following. You can only argue for or against the motion. You cannot change the motion. You can only argue for or against the motion. You cannot change the motion. Excuse me. So you can propose the motion or oppose the motion. You cannot change the motion. The motion remains the same. Points are the only things that you need to win a debate, and your ability to argue the point convincingly. You must not attack the other person personally, but you can counter their points. You must show respect to your opponent. You must not insult your opponent, but you can always counter their points. All right? You have to show respect to the judges, acknowledge them. So the more points you make, the better your chances of winning, not just telling stories. You must be eloquent. You must be fluent in order to win a debate. You must keep to time. You must keep to time. You must appear fine. You must appear fine. Look responsible in your appearance. All right. Let us look at reports and then minutes. Report. 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 A report is an article A report is an article which gives an account or presents information about an occurrence or phenomenon. A report is an article which gives an account or presents information about an occurrence or a phenomenon. Pay attention, we still have 9 minutes before 10 o'clock. So there will also be need for you to write a report as you go through life. That is why you have this lesson. When something happens, maybe in an office or in the school, in the workplace, Even at the level of government, a report is usually needed because it is a technical document that will be used to take decisions based on what has happened. Maybe even when you travel and you come back, you should be able to give a report of what happened when you traveled, the date you traveled, what happened there, and when you came back. They might need the report for filing. There's a fire incident in the office, then there's need for a report. Okay? So you might be called upon anytime to write a report. Even if something happens in your neighborhood. All right? If something happens in your neighborhood, you might have to make a report. You go to the police station, you still have to write a report. So that is how important reports are. A report is an orderly and objective communication. Report is an orderly and objective communication. Report is an orderly and objective communication. Orderly and objective communication. That means it has its own format, it has its own template. It has its own format, it has its own template, its own order. Report is not written haphazardly. It has to be written in an orderly manner. A report begins with an executive summary. Report begins with an executive summary. A report usually begins with an executive summary. That is, it begins with a paragraph stating what the report is all about, what the findings have been, and what the solutions are. So the summary gives an idea of what the entire report is all about. Okay? Then the report goes on to analyze information, provide reactions, opinions, and recommendations. A report must be able to analyze information. A report must be able to analyze information, provide reaction and opinions, and then recommendation. Now, take note that before a report is written, sometimes there's usually the need to gather information. Now, it is this information by way of interviews, written memoranda that are analyzed when the final report is finally written. So that is why we say that the report analyzes information, provides reaction and opinions, and then recommendations, depending on the nature of the report. The report can also be seen as a document in which a given problem is examined, a document in which a given problem is examined for the purpose of conveying information, writing findings, putting forward ideas, and sometimes making recommendations intended to serve as basis for action. So when something happens, a report can be asked for. And in the report, Information will be analyzed. What happened will be reported. The causes will be stated. And then the solutions can also be provided through recommendation, so that the company, the government, or the agency can use that report as the basis for taking action based on what has happened. That is why a report is always necessary, because a report is a formalized procedure of obtaining facts about what has happened, and so that solutions can be provided for the event. So there is no area of life that does not require the writing of reports. Even your final year project is a report. All right? It's a form of report of the research that you have conducted. Okay? So report is a technical document. We have types of reports. Types of report. Like accident reports, credit reports, justification reports. We have types of reports: accident reports, credit reports, justification reports, audit reports. Audit report, A-U-D-I-T, audit reports. Trip report, T-R-I-P, trip report. You traveled, you come back, you give a report. Interim report, interim report, interim report, I-N-T-E-R-I-M, interim report. Now, these types of reports can be further classified into regular and routine reports, regular and routine reports, under which you can have periodic report and progress report. Periodic report and progress report. Periodic from period. You have periodic report and progress report. Then you can also have production reports and occasional reports. Production reports and occasional reports. Production reports and occasional reports. Under that you can have disciplinary reports, and situation reports. And then you have commissioned report. Under commissioned report, you can have policy formulation report, consumer research report, investigative report, feasibility report, and proposal report. I'll take that again. Under commission report, you can have policy formulation reports or change reports, consumer reports, consumer research reports, investigative reports, feasibility reports, and proposal reports. All right, let us end the class there for today. We'll continue next week. Morning.